There are close to 30,000 brands that join the marketplace on a yearly basis. When you see that seal on the brands that are being sold, you will know which ones carry the integrity. Super brands, now in the Philippines and worldwide.
And welcome once again to For the Public Good. We're the show that tries to identify individuals, corporations, and institutions that are doing good and doing it well. Our guest this evening is Ramon Go, President and General Manager of Orocan. He's with us to explain how he and the company's founder, Mr. Ko Hu, transform ordinary cans to precious containers, and how they've been doing it since 1984. We're in for a real treat this evening. I'd like to thank you so much for coming, you know.
Thank you for inviting me, Larry.
Tell me, how do you turn cans into precious containers?
Well, it was not easy.
No, probably not.
When we started off, we were a very small company. And we were up against the bigger guys. So we thought that the only thing that we could do actually is to do things better than them. So we used the best materials. We paid attention to our quality control, and so in a way we gave a better product. At the end of the day, the better product was chosen by the consumers.
Sure. But you also did it by putting a name on it, right? I mean, tell us what Orocan means. I know a little Spanish, so I know oro is gold, right?
Yes. Gold. Well, Orocan, it's a word that was coined by me. This was many years ago. Oro, because we wanted something of value, like gold. And can, because we were in that business of selling containers, plastic containers. So we decided to put Oro and can together and come out with a brand name which is unique. Besides, we have no fear of having it being rejected by the Department of Trade,
right,
trademarks.
Sure.
So it was a unique name, so we thought that was the best chance, getting in a unique name, a word that's not in the dictionary, something that we coin, and definitely, of course, they gave us a trademark.
But it's actually genius. We used to call the sort of things you made in Japan, I lived there for many years, and we call them the blue bucket shops, and you see those blue buckets everywhere, but you never see them with a name on them, Yours maybe was the first blue buckets that I ever saw that had a name. And is anybody else doing that? Is anybody else sticking names on cans now? Or?
Well, of course, everybody now knows the value of branding.
Right.
Well,
not everybody, but
we realized that at that time we had no advertising budget.
Okay.
We could not afford any advertising, so we figured that the product itself would be the best advertising. But who would know you unless you tell them that it's you? So we put in as big a label as we can in our cans, and then people noticed it. So I guess the rest is history.
Well, that's great. Can you tell me something about, I know about buckets. In fact, recently my daughter and I were going to do composting at home, and one of the things we bought was a big Orocan bucket to put the sawdust and the waste in. But can you tell me, you're making something more than just cans. I know you make lots of things that are plastic. Can you just run by a few of them?
Yes, we make housewares or pitchers as well. We make cabinets, we make drawers, and lately we have moved into insulated wares, we came out with our first ice chest this year.
I have one of those.
Yes, and then we came out with our first insulated water jug or a water dispenser.
A thermos sort of thing?
Yes, November of 2010. So we are moving in that direction. Right now we have another ice chest in the market, and we will be introducing more insulated wares down the road.
The first ice chest is a small one. Are you going to be start making bigger ones as you go along, or?
Yes, the first one that came out was a 15-liter container. We have a 30-liter. We are coming out with an 8-liter to complete the sizes. Okay. And yes, they are in the drawing boards, the bigger ones. But at this point, we feel that we should stay in these sizes because I think they are the more sellable ones.
I'm a total don't know nothing about making insulated containers. What do you have to look for when you're making an insulated container? Of course, you want to hold the cold in, I suppose. But is it a difficult process, or do you do anything unique with it? Or
it is not a very difficult process. But when you use an ice chest, normally you use it outdoors.
Right.
And oftentimes you're very rough with these products. So
I like to sit on them a lot.
Yes. So the idea there is to make it as durable as possible. And then the insulation itself is quite good. Normally they use it for a few hours. We do not have those that can go for 24 hours yet.
I see.
At this point, we can go 6 to 7 hours, and it will still retain a certain temperature. But primary is many of these ice chests now are also used to put in food.
Right, food, yeah.
So we make sure, number one, that the materials that we're using, the pigments that we're using is safe for food contact. They may want to put ice in it, so we are making sure that the ice, the water, the food is not contaminated by the materials that we are using in our container. So the safety, is very important for us. Even if we know that normally you would put a packaged bottle or a packaged, what do you call this, a packaged drink in there, and there's no real food contact between our product and the product that the consumers will be taking in. But we still take that extra step to tell them that it's safe.
Sure, you got guys like me that put apples and things like that in there anyway.
Yes,
so.
yes. We as much as possible, we try to make it as safe for the consumers.
That's a question too. You're doing all of your manufacturing here in the Philippines?
Yes, yes.
So you've got a broad range of products, with the containers and the wardrobes and things like that. Yes. Maybe we can run down. What are some things? I know that one of your products I saw in a book has some special handle or something that makes it easy to ship or something, and I was trying to.
Oh yes.
One of your pictures, I think. Right?
Yes, one of our pictures. This was designed some way back in, I think, 1994 or 1995. We designed a picture because at that time, pictures were sold with their covers, and then it takes so much space. And then, of course, even at that time, costs of freight was going up.
Right.
And so what we did was we designed a way that the handle or the containers will nest into each other as much as possible.
Oh, I see. So it saves the space.
So it saves the space. So it saves the space. It saves as much as 40 to 50% of the space which you need to pay for when you send them out in the province.
I've been an engineer for a long time, and I didn't get really involved in manufacturing until about 25 years ago or so, I suppose. But I had no idea all the things that go into manufacturing. I'm into the side of motorcycle switches, the handlebar switches for motorcycles. And the complications of building a full motorcycle or even a switch, I couldn't imagine all the things that go on in that. Also, in the same thing in hard disk drives. That's the reason I came to the Philippines the first time, was to help with training with a hard disk drive factory. And people are always looking for other ways. When you're making 1 million products a month or that many, anytime you can make any saving or raise a yield anywhere, it turns into a lot of money, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It does. So that's why it takes us a long time to actually design a product. Like we would average between conception and to the first test. Normally, it would take us around 9 months to a year.
I see.
So we plan the things, what we want to do. We work with designers. We work with our mold makers. And then we put in the parameters. It has to be this much weight. It has to carry so much load. A lot of that goes in the very beginning. The rest, of course, is very easy, which means because a lot of the machines now are automated.
Right, right.
And then at any one point, there are more people who are now doing these molds than, say, 30 years ago.
Sure, sure.
So, and their technology has improved so much. Their skills have also improved. So, at the end of the day, the planning and before we sign the first contract normally would reach around 6 months.
6 months. Right.
And then the production of the molds would take around 3 months.
That's about it, yeah.
And then the testing of the product at the end, it takes around a year before we can launch any single product.
Right, right.
Yes.
Right. Maybe across, this is kind of a difficult question maybe for you, but I've always had, sometimes I've had an idea and I've produced a movie or a video or an ad or something that I thought was really going to be good, and it was good. People liked it. Other times, I've done the same thing, and they didn't like it very much. Can you give me a couple of examples of really hit products that you feel you've had, over the years, and then some that maybe you felt like, gee, I wish I had that back again. That's,
well, I've had these eureka moments.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And one of the well, it's the picture. The picture was one of those things that I figured that, yes, if I can solve the problem of the freight or the volume of the product, then I would have solved the problems of a lot of people, especially the traders,
sure,
who are just making a difference between our price and the price that they sell to the consumers by cutting down their freight and being more efficient. That one was one of those things that you can do scientifically. But there is one product. It's a dish drainer that I've been thinking for something like 3 years, and I couldn't get it right. Couldn't get it right. And then one day I was sitting in a plane and I saw a logo of a airline company. And from that, I was able to design a product. And that is also one of our biggest hits, which is we call it a dish guard. So, it's unpredictable.
Isn't it weird how serendipity, and you find something that's totally unrelated and you extrapolate from that into something that works, and you surprise yourself and say, gee, I must really be smart. But mostly it's just lucky, isn't it?
Yes, mostly it's lucky.
And always thinking about it, is the thing, I think.
Yes, you have a product that you think that will sell. It's really not really solving the problems of people. Rather, in our kind of business, it's like there's no scientific definition of what is good or what is bad. It's at the end of the day, it's always a commitment that you are trying to either solve a consumer's problem or you feel that the time now is right for a particular product, and that's when you launch it, because time is you can launch a product too early.
Oh.
And then...
I did multimedia about 20 years too early, And
yes, you can launch a product too early or you can launch a product too late. So luck has a lot to play with what we do.
Well, that's one of the things that I think Gary Player was a golfer. We talked about him, and he says, the more I practice, the luckier I get. And that really is something. If you're always out on the streets, or you're always out there thinking or figuring out how to, you do get lucky, don't you?
Yes, you have to be observant, I guess. It's getting near to the market that gives you ideas. At the end of the day, many of our products, I would say majority of our products are original designs. It really, the concepts and everything starts from us, and then, it gets into the market. And we are very proud of that. So it's not just improving someone's product, it's also, thinking and going into the lifestyle of the people and saying maybe they need this.
Right, yeah, and who's going to use it? Yes. How much of your market, we're running out of time on our first half here, but I'd like to just have you think for a couple seconds what we're going to do when we come back. of maybe just think about your demographics. You know, how much your market are housewives, how much are your do-it-yourself guys, how much of it is guys like me who don't do anything around the house, or whatever. And we'll get into that when we come back from the break, okay?
Okay.
Okay, great. And for all you folks out there, I don't want you to go anywhere because we're going to be right back talking with Ramon here about Orocan. So don't go away.